Hey guys, TheGermaniac back again, bringing you another video, another article. So today it looks like the AFD has lost what looked like they were gonna win. Looked like they were gonna win originally this regional election, but turns out they've lost like losers. And some people are theorizing it's because of the large backlash they got for some members being connected to this secret Nazi meeting, in which they talked about remigration. Anyway, we'll get into the article, see what it says, and then we'll see how we go. So anyway, this is by the Financial Times, written by Sam Jones. German right-wing populists defeated in regional election. German right-wing populists have suffered a surprise defeat in a widely watched regional election that has followed a fortnight of nationwide protests. The AfD party lost a district election in the state of Thuringia on Sunday evening, which polls had earlier indicated was likely to be secured as its second ever local government mandate amid growing support for anti-immigration policies. Now, the important thing with this, which the AfD has to take into consideration, in my opinion, they are really on borrowed time here, because the SPD strategy, what a lot of the other parties are planning to do, is they want to increase the migration into the country for multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons, which they may have predicted themselves, is that because the AfD is rising, they can use, I guess it's their own kind. I guess it's just normal migration. The AfD wants remigration, and the other parties want migration. And why? For two of the same reasons. One, the AfD knows that foreigners aren't going to vote for the AfD because they're either scared of their policies, because they've been painted as far right, or because they're a party more for, like, I guess, ethnic Germans, or like centric Germans, would you say? While the other parties are more for, you would say, immigrants, asylum seekers. Well, not that they can vote, but I'm sure they're like parties like the SPD would love if they could, because it would allow them to gain a crap ton more votes, which they actually have. They've allowed, because of dual citizenship now, we'll probably be seeing millions of more votes go into the system. And those votes won't be going to the AfD. They'll be going to parties like the SPD. So very strategic of the current parties to do that. It has allowed them to essentially open up a brand new voter base to gather votes from. But anyway, the election in the Saale-Ola district was a runoff between the AfD Uwe Thrum and Christian Hergott of the mainstream conservative CDU, of former Chancellor Angela Merkel. Thuringia is considered a stronghold for the AfD. Statewide elections are due to be held in September. The AfD is expected to win them. The party, which according to the latest polling, has the support of over 1 in 5 Germans, elected in its first Landrat, the equivalent of the head of a UK county council, in the district of Sonnenberg in June. In the January 14th first round of the election in nearby Saale-Ola, the AfD's Thrum won 45.7% of the vote compared with 33.3% for the CDU's Hergott, leading many to expect a second victory for the party. But a burgeoning scandal for the AfD over the party's connections to ethno-nationalist extremists have been dominating the headlines. This is what I was talking about. They essentially met with Mons Sellner, people connected to the AfD met with Sellner. They like to pose it as like a secret meeting. In reality, it was kind of him just advertising his book, but there were a lot of business moguls there, which makes it look a little bit more shady. And is essentially talking about how we need to start a remigration plan. And now, why would the AfD really want to listen to this? Because if Sellner is able to get this idea out into the mainstream, they're allowed to essentially conduct or attempt this remigration plan, right? then you would be getting rid of, you would essentially you would essentially, I can't even speak, you would be essentially getting rid of a large portion of the population who, if they were to become citizens, would not be voting for you. And we already know this. Immigrants, new kind of people, foreigners, they're not going to be voting for parties like the AFD because the AFD may not pose or try and position itself like it exactly, but they are more of a German-centric, ethnic German-centric nationalist party. And so it's not within their interest to have massive amounts of migration come into the country, massive amounts of people come into the country. On January 10, AfD politicians were revealed to have held meetings with highly controversial right-wing ideologues in a villa near Berlin and discussed plans for the mass deportation of immigrants, including those with German citizenship. For the last 2 weeks, hundreds of thousands of Germans have turned out across the country to demonstrate against the AfD and right-wing extremism, accusing the party of flirting with fascism and fueling calls for it to be banned. In Sunday's second round in Seoul, Her achieved 52.4% compared with Thrum's 47.6%. Turnout was just under 70%, more than twice the level seen in the last election in 2018. Mainstream parties have rallied together to try to block the rise of the AfD in recent days. And there's another thing, they all come together to essentially fight the AfD. So, I don't know what the parties would look like if AfD somehow, I actually honestly really doubt it, especially now that dual nationalism is allowed, or having multiple passports. I just don't think they'll be able to get like 51% of the vote. If they have anything less, I feel like the other parties will just team up to form coalitions to keep them out of power. Mainstream parties have rallied together to try to block the rise of the AfD in recent days. Thuringia's interior minister, a member of the SDP, even told voters in Saale Ola to support the CDU to stop Thrum. So I'm butchering this, I know I am. Saale Ola in southeast Thuringia borders the state of Bavaria and Saxony and has around 66,000 eligible voters. The district is one of the poorest in the country. The average wage is €29,000 according to the German State Statistics Agency. Around 40% of the working population is on minimum wage. So there you go. It's a poor district too, which the AfD's voters are mostly working class as well. They're the kind of working class party. And they're trying to be the party where they listen to the little man, the working guy, blue collar, while the other parties, they try and position the other parties look like, they say stuff, but what have they done in the past X amount of years? They just keep bringing in more people and the money goes to them. So that's kind of how the AfD is trying to sell it to people. But pretty interesting that they lost. The protests were pretty large. But we also have been having a lot of kind of protesting in Germany lately. We've had the train strikes. We've had the farmers strikes as well. So a lot of things aren't running, honestly. Like, they just haven't been running. So, and then combined with the terrible weather conditions as well in some areas, things aren't looking too good for old Germany. And even the economy, oof. Not good. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, if you liked the video, like, subscribe, follow. That's all I got for you today. And I'll see you in the next one.